So this video, I'm about to get vulnerable, and it makes me very nervous. But I feel like if I can help even just one person, then it's worth it, and my experience is worth it. So yesterday, I shared a video about just the spirit of anxiety and how anxiety can affect us. And I shared how I came to, while I was sitting in meditation, that it'd be really good for me to fast. And so over the past 38 hours or so I began to fast, and during my fast I began to get a really bad migraine. And I get migraines a lot. I have occipital nerve issues, and so it affects my eyes and like all my arm and shoulders and all sorts of stuff. And so I started to experience a lot of pain within my body. And so by around like 5 or so, I just had to go to bed. Like the sun, I couldn't even see light. Light was hurting me, and I couldn't read anything. I just had to lay in bed. And so I just spent pretty much all night long, because it would not go away. I spent all night long just in prayer. Because, I mean, there was nothing else I could do because the pain was so intense. And so I didn't really get a lot of sleep last night. And I woke up, and it was just so heavy and dull in my head and in my face. Um and I kept praying that the pain would go away, that that God is a God of miracles, and he can make anything happen. He brings people from the dead, and he heals the blind, he heals the sick, and I mean, he can make my head pain go away. And sometimes I'm like, do I just not have enough faith? Do I not believe enough? You know? But I know too that God uses our pain and our suffering for our good. Because it did give me an opportunity to turn everything off and to just lay in bed and to be in prayer and to be in like a state of meditation for pretty much the majority of my fast. And so this morning, as I was coming to, like, drinking some broth and just in my thoughts and stuff, I was thinking about I was thinking about some guy. He was talking about having one foot on this side and one foot on that side, and that, like, kind of straddling a fence, like the scripture in Matthew. Let me see, Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. It says, "No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon." And so these thoughts were coming to me this morning as I've just been in this state of kind of surrendering, and in this place of, like, do I not have enough faith? Like, where am I lacking in faith? Where am I not being faithful? Where am I holding on to, where am I like straddling the fence and holding on to old things from my past that is keeping me from fully showing up in my present? What am I holding on to? And the thought came into my mind: alcohol. Now, I am not a big drinker. I'm not. I I've never loved alcohol. That has not been my drug of choice. It has been one that I have used, though. Um, I, as I have shared in many other videos, I have struggled with depression and anxiety in my life. And I learned whenever I was around 22 that, like I shared in my previous video, I learned that marijuana helps to lift me up and helps me to feel better and not so depressed. And alcohol does the same. So throughout my life, whenever I would have really deep, dark, whenever I would go down into deep depressions, I would immediately, the thought would come into my mind to get alcohol, because alcohol would lift me. And so I would go buy alcohol and hide it because I didn't want anyone to know. And so for a few days, I would maybe drink alcohol, but I did not like how alcohol made me feel, because it gives you a hangover. It just makes you just feel like crap. It's a depressant, all the reasons. And I'm not one of those people that can just have a little bit. I'm one of those people that drink until like I'm one of those. And so I've never liked alcohol, yet it's legal and it's easy to get. And so I would always be like, okay, I've always known people who have marijuana, and so it's never been a hard thing to get. So I would hate drinking alcohol, and I would only do it for a few days, because I'm like, between the two, if I have to make a choice, I'd rather smoke weed. So I would find some marijuana and I would stop drinking alcohol. So alcohol would only come into my life and be at play for just a couple days until I could find me some marijuana, which would lift me and help me. And there are benefits to it. I believe that there are a lot of great benefits to it. But I'm talking about alcohol. So, so that has been a running thing in my life. And a few years ago, well, I mean, it's been a while now. It was probably like around 2019, 2020, around that crazy time in the world, that, and my husband was going through retirement and a lot of medical challenges, and just like life became too much for me to handle, and I just was not coping very well. And I once again turned to alcohol. And this time, it it wrapped around me and pulled me down so quickly that I did not even like, it just became a thing, and I didn't hide it this time. This time I was like, I'm not gonna like go in my closet and drink. I mean, this time I'm just going to buy it, and whatever anyone thinks is fine, whatever. And so I ended up, that's whenever it became a problem. And I started drinking every day for a couple months. And I knew, like, I could see and I could understand, I knew what was going on. And so I was able to thankfully get out of it. And I shared in another video, like, that whole story. If you want to go back, I can't remember the name of it. I think it's like fly into the wilderness or something like that. But I did, like, I went into the wilderness and I was able to stop drinking and get my mind straight and just get sober and everything. And then I went home and I poured everything down the sink, down the drain, and I was like, okay, I can't do that. I don't want that. And I realized how strong it had become in my life because I would be triggered by things and I would immediately want to drink. And triggered by, like, I would go to the grocery store and whenever I would get home, I would want to pour a drink because I was used to getting home and drinking and unpacking my groceries, and it made it more enjoyable. Or, pour a drink before cooking because it makes it more enjoyable, or before, um, housework, or like, there's so many things that we can attach to habits that we feel like it makes it more enjoyable if we do. So, so it became a thing. And that whenever I had stopped drinking, I realized how much I was and the little triggers and the things that I would do that would make me want to drink. And I was like, oh, it's so amazing how we can get so habitual with things like really quickly. So like I said, I poured everything out and I was like, okay, I'm not drinking anymore. And I did really, really well with that. And then I was like, I'm not, like, I could have it or not have it and I'm good. Like, I'm not hooked on alcohol. And fast forward fast forward a couple years or a year. I mean, who knows? I don't know time. Um something I don't even know made me what compelled me to go buy alcohol, but I did. And so and I felt okay about it, like, because I was coming into a place where, like, I've always been told my whole life that it is bad, you don't do this, it's against, like, everything, and I was working through a lot of internal monologues and internal things that, like, I needed to come to understand things for myself and not just follow it because this is what I've been told, but to understand it and come to a knowledge for myself. Some of us are just like that. It just is what it is. So somehow I ended up with a cabinet full of alcohol again. But I wasn't drawn to it. Like, I didn't feel triggered like I needed to have it. I would just drink it whenever I just wanted to. It it wasn't like a compulsion. Like, there were a few times I recognized that I was wanting to from a feeling of, like, coping, and I would not allow myself. I wouldn't let myself under those situations, under those circumstances. I was like, okay, because I am bigger than that. I'm not gonna fall into, like, it because that's not healthy. And so then it was just like, I just have it and I spent so much money on it. I don't want to throw it away because it is expensive. And also I love herbology. I love herbs and I love making tinctures and the just all that kind of stuff. And so a lot of times you use alcohol for that. It's best to use, like, Everclear, and Everclear is not something that you want to put into your body. But the other ones, like vodka and stuff. It has a high alcohol grain, and so it can be used in those ways. And so I was like, and two, these are all the things of rationalizing, of reasons why I've kept alcohol in my cabinet. And so also, the way that the world is, it's always a great thing to have to clean our bodies with. I may not drink it, but I can always use it to clean if need be. And so I've just had alcohol in my cabinet. Well, fast forward. There have been a few times in the past while that I have had days where of just that feeling of life is really hard and I just want to escape, or things around me are just too much and I just don't want to, there's these different things that would come up that would draw me to drink. And many times I'm like, no, because I know better, because I know what it does to my body. I don't want to feel that way. And so many times I'm able to override that. However, there have been a few times where I have not. And then after it's such a weird thing, because alcohol itself, even in the scriptures, I mean, Jesus Christ turned water into wine, and he sat and he had wine, and it even says in the scriptures when he returns, he's going to drink wine, and so it's not that alcohol is a bad thing. It's the way that it's used sometimes. It's the way that we turn to it for escape or for release or for, I've used it many times in my life as like a relaxant because I get tense and anxious. And so then it would be relaxing, or, just there's so many different reasons. And two, I've recognized over the past few times, it was that I just enjoy it, that I enjoy the buzzy feeling, and I just enjoy that it makes me like feel good while I'm drinking it, and like makes it just it there's all those benefits, like, but there are no benefits, like, truly. um But there are those things that it does lift and all that kind of stuff. But then there are all of the negative side effects. You know, I value, I truly value health and wellness. I value taking care of my body. I value putting good things into my body. And so, as I was thinking this morning, I'm like, so why would I ever, if I have such value for my body and feeling healthy and well, why would I ever want to put alcohol into my system? It is literally a poison to my system. It destroys my gut. It kills brain cells. It damages our brains. It messes up our entire gut system and our microbiome. If we have anything going on in our body, like it's got the sugar in it, it's so bad. And I'm like, why? Why would I choose that. And it's because of old patterns. It's old ways of coping. It's old things that is just within me that pulls me to it. That, I mean, there's alcoholism in my blood. I have ancestors who are alcoholics. I have addiction that runs through my ancestry, that runs through my nervous system, through my way of thinking, my way of being. And so, of course, that's going to be a battle that has ended up here in me. But my God is so much greater than that. And I recognize that by me continuing to have that access, by continuing to have that even in my cabinet, even holding on to it for cleaning my body, or for, it keeps it as a choice. Now, yes, I can go down the road to the daiquiri shop because I live in Louisiana, and I can go through the drive-through and I can get me a daiquiri. So, it's easy. It's easy in Louisiana to get alcohol, but I don't have to have it in my cabinet, because if I'm going to drive to a place, it's just, there's so much with that. And so this morning, as I'm, as I was just coming out of a fast and coming out of, feeling like, where am I not being faithful? Where am I? And this is just me. This is not for other people, because some people, maybe alcohol is okay for you. I don't know. I mean, we can look at alcohol. I am curious what the Catholic faith teaches and believes about alcohol. I know that with the LDS faith, it's part of the word of wisdom, which is like a health code that says that we do not drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes or drink hot drinks, or, there's many do nots, and there's a lot of do's, do eat grains, do eat, so it's like a health code. And so, and it's makes sense that we don't want to put hard liquor into our bodies, because it's not for our stomachs, it's for cleaning our bodies. And so as I was thinking to myself, like, what am I still holding on to from my past that I can let go of to help me move forward in my life and to be freed of? And that was one that came to me, that I'm holding on to something that needs to go. Even if it's not something that I do, I still have a cabinet full of it. That why? Why? So I took all my bottles and I poured them down the sink today. And afterwards, I came and I sat out here and I cried, because just recognizing, like, that I'm holding on to things that are not good for me. And why do we continue to do things like that's like Paul? He just, I love, and I can't remember where it is, but just where he talks about how I do the things that I don't want to do. Why do I continue to do these things that I don't want to do? There's our flesh. We have our flesh that continues to go against what our spirit wants. And it's coming to see these things and just do different. It's each day we're just given opportunities to see things and to just do different. And I just recognized that that was something that I needed to do different. So that I can be freed of that. And it's crazy because there is this little thing in my head that is like, you're never going to get to do that again. And it's like, but that's okay. I value health and wellness. So why would I ever want to do that again? And I can recognize that voice. I can recognize that voice. That it is not the voice of the spirit. It is not. It is an old voice that has been with me for a very long time. Has been with me for 30 years. And it's almost like I'm having to say goodbye to that voice. I mean, truly, if you think about that, I shared in the video yesterday just about the spirit of anxiety. I mean, there are just these spirits, the spirit of fear, the spirit of anxiety. You know, there are these spirits of addiction, and they latch onto us whenever the first time that we do these things. And then when we repeat them, it's like, oh, now we got a little friend. Now we got a little friend that hangs out with us, telling us like we need to do this. And, becomes a really good friend. Well, And so it's almost like we have to cast it away, and we can be delivered from these things. And it is truly through fasting and through prayer. There are just some things that will not leave except through fasting and prayer. And I recognize that that was one that was holding on to me, that I was holding on to it as well. I was holding hands with alcohol. And it can be hard, even though we know that it's a good thing to let go of, and we know that we're making a great choice and we're doing good and we're following the spirit and we're going down this path. It can still be hard to make those choices. It can, because it's like you're letting go of a part of something that that you liked and enjoyed and brought comfort and was a coping tool. But I value having the spirit. I value having a sound mind. I value being healthy and not causing my body to experience inflammation. I have pains within my body, and when I eat certain things, it triggers inflammation and it makes it worse. And so I'm having to come to learn and understand what foods do that. And so I have to let go of things. I have to let go of things that I like because it's not good for my body. It may be okay for you, but it's not okay for me. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is for us to understand that we're each very individual, that what is good or bad for me might not be good or bad for you. And we can't judge other people by those things. It's just interesting because we can have these things that we value, But there's that other little thing that wants to come in and sabotage it and wants to keep us with like choosing mammon. What was that? Matthew 6:24. You cannot serve God and mammon. We can't have two masters. I mean, we can only serve. You're either going to hate the one and love the other, or else you'll hold to the one and despise the other. And so, who do we want to serve? Do we want to serve the things of this world? Do we want to serve our addictions? Do we want to serve these traditions of the fathers? You know, because I want to serve God. I want to do and be and say those things that are aligned with Him, and not make excuses and not continue in these old patterns, these old behaviors, and these old things that I have clung to out of safety. They're really out of safety. It's a false sense of safety, you know, because our minds can really tell us things that are not true, and we can rationalize and we can justify things, but it comes down to our heart. Like, we know within our heart. And so that has been a thing. You know, so many times, like, and two, you know, being on social media, being someone like I share good stuff. Like, I want to share good stuff and healthy stuff. And then it's like, but if I do this, you know, I don't want to share that. I don't want to share me making a margarita or something, you know? And so then there's that feeling of being, just all of those thoughts to come in and want to condemn and want to, you know, because we're all people. We're all just people down here trying to do and be good for the most part, trying to follow the spirit. And, you know, and we do have behaviors, we do have thoughts that are not our own, that come to us, that do try to sabotage us, that do try to condemn us, and, you know, keep us from being fully who we are, being fully who God wants us to be. And I can see clearly, and that is just one thing that I really love about fasting. And it's really interesting because I love fasting. I mean, I have fasted a lot throughout my life, and my brother and I, we did alternate day fasting, and we have a lot of videos on our YouTube channel about fasting. And I did a 30-day fast, like every other day fasting. And it just can show us so many things about ourselves, and it can break addictions, and it can break us from these patterns and these habits. And I know that. And I've had a really hard time fasting for quite a while, for quite a few months. And I can see that it's because when I fast, it breaks these things off of me. And there are things around me that do not want me to fast. I'll start to fast and then I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry, or oh, I got to do that. Like so many things stop us from doing the things that are good and that are of value, that can show us things about ourselves and break these unclean, evil spirits off of us, because we are in a spiritual warfare right now, and we have to do the things, we have to do the practices to strengthen our spirit so that we can withstand, It's just, it is important, and I'm very grateful. I'm grateful that I was actually able to lay in bed in prayer for the past 30, like at least 24 hours, at least 20 hours, I think. Because he shows us when we're seeking and we're asking, and I mean, that wasn't even on my radar, like truly, that was nowhere even in my thoughts or anything, but it revealed itself to me as I was ending my fast. Because I was really fasting for, well, to have that spirit of anxiety lifted off of me. And I recognized there was another one. We have many spirits attached to us and around us. And, he just revealed one more that I needed to get rid of. And he helps me. And I'm so grateful. What in your life? What in your life do you need to let go of? What are you holding on to that is just part of your past, something that you've learned that you hold on to out of comfort and a coping mechanism, or just something? I mean, it can just, whatever is not feeding your soul and helping your spirit to grow stronger, or helping your body to be stronger, or your mind. What is one thing in your life today that you can give up? And I I invite you to share that in the comments, because I'm learning that accountability is a huge thing. And when you write it down, that and other people see it and other people read it, and you get that support from others, it's huge. It is so huge. That has helped me so much on sharing, like on social media, sharing like the good things that I do, because it makes me do them. Like, I'm not just like pretending to be cooking a certain way, or pretending to, like, this is what I do. This is how I live. This is, you know. And so whenever we share those things, it helps other people, and it also makes us accountable. And so I'm really grateful for that social media has helped me in those ways. And so I invite you to share, what is one thing that you can give up? Where are you keeping one foot in this world that you can let go of? Because I am not the only one. I cannot be the only one out here. I'm grateful for God's ways, that his ways are not our ways, and that as we seek him, as we search, as we give ourselves to him more and more, he's able to give us more. As we open ourselves, as we let go of things in our lives, he's able to bring new things into our lives that are even better for us. I love that, and I'm grateful. And so Thank you for being here with me and being part of this process with me as I go through all these changes and experiencing so many things. I'm very grateful. Until next time.